So if you've ever watched Highlander or played Devil May Cry, this one might be right up your alley. The Old Guard. So the Old Guard is actually based on a comic book series. I haven't read the comics. This is my first time experiencing this story. But let me know if you've read the comics. Let me know in the comments. Let me know if it's true to the comics, because the same guy who wrote the comics, I believe, wrote this movie. So it should be, the source material should match with the movie, but I don't know. Let me know if you know. The Old Guard was directed by Gina Prince Brycewood, and please excuse me if I pronounced that incorrectly. I believe that's how you say it. So basically, it's a story of a group of, you can call them superheroes, but it's basically about a group of immortals, people who can. It's four of them who can't die, and then another one gets introduced early in the movie. But basically, it's about this group of people who have been together for centuries, and what they've been doing is they've been fighting injustice or crime, or they've been saving the world, basically, especially Charlize Theron's character, Andromake of Scythia, if I said that right. I believe that's what her name was. Andromake of Scythia, I believe. But it's short for Andy. They just call her Andy, and that's a good thing. We just leave it at Andy. So the movie begins with our group of heroes, and like I said, they've been together for centuries. And like I said before, Charlize Theron's character has been around the longest. She's the oldest. They never really tell you how old she is, but she's old, okay? It was one line that was used in the movie. Andy has forgotten more ways to kill people than an entire army will ever learn. And when you think about that, that's actually pretty crazy. I mean, she's one lady, she's one person, and she knows she's forgotten how to kill more people than an army will ever learn. Does that make sense? Let me know if that makes sense. If it doesn't, it's in the movie, so hey, that's what you get. So basically, these people are planetologists, like Barrett in Final Fantasy VII. He's all giving Cloud that whole spiel about the planet crying.
The planet bleeds green like you and me bleed red. The hell you think's gonna happen when it's all gone, huh? Answer me! You gonna stand there and pretend you can't hear the planet crying out in pain? I know you can!
You really hear that?
Damn straight I do.
Get help.
No, it doesn't go that deep in this movie, but you get it. Like they're saving the planet. There's no Mako or anything like. There's no Mako or energy or anything like that. There's no core reactors you gotta blow up. No, I'm just kidding. No, but they pretty much, they're saving the planet from evil. It's not working. What we're doing is not working anymore. It's getting worse. So she's pretty much like, man, like she's done. She's done. She doesn't want to do it anymore because nothing they do makes the world a better place. She just sees an endless cycle of, violence and hate, and she doesn't want to do it anymore. She's checking out. She's checking out. She's completely out. She doesn't want to do it anymore. So Sheila Ejiofor shows up, and he basically wants to hire them to do a job. And from the start, you're kind of like, all right, dude, like we've seen this a million times, okay? It's a setup, all right? We know, man, like it's a setup, okay? And surprise, surprise, it's a setup, okay? But the setup is kind of cool the way they do it, because they are riddled with bullets, okay? They're taking, remember that scene in Training Day? The end, spoiler for Training Day. Remember in Training Day when Denzel was up against that car and those Russians pull up and they're lighting him up, okay? They're lighting Denzel up, okay? He's not coming back from that. It was like that, the way they got set up. But a minute later, they're all getting up, kicking ass. Okay, so it's like they can't die. They don't die. And that was part of the setup by Chiwetel Ejiofor, because he wanted to prove, that these people they're immortal, because he's been tracking them for like a long time or whatever. He has his motives, but we'll get to that later. So from this point on, it's pretty much a game of cat and mouse, because they want to find, Chiwetel Ejiofor's character. At the same time, he's looking for them, because he actually is working for this tech guy. It's another movie with some tech billionaire evil guy who wants to save the planet, but he also wants to make some money. Well, not save the planet, but he wants to cure cancer and give people longer lives and whatever. But it always comes down to the same question: at what cost? You know what I mean? And in this instance, it's at the cost of 4 or 5 people's lives, which I don't think is a big cost for the greater good. But whatever. That's just me though. They introduce a new character, a new immortal. One day, this girl she dies and she just comes back and she doesn't know what the hell. And it's a funny thing because apparently, when this happens, when someone becomes immortal, they die, and then they don't die. They have a dream of some sort, but they dream about other immortals, right? And the immortals at the same time are dreaming about them. So it's this link, and the immortals know, hey, there's another one out here. We gotta find them. So they're like, okay. They come up with a plan to find her, and the girl who came back to life, everyone around her is freaking out. They're like, yo, what? You don't have any wounds? Like, you're supposed to be, you died. I saw you die. How are you alive right now? So finally they catch up to this new immortal, and naturally she has questions, and she's pretty much the exposition train of this whole show. She has questions, we have questions. We're learning through her experiences. Charlize Theron has answers sometimes. Most times she doesn't. None of them have answers. They don't know why they're immortal. They don't know how they become immortal. They don't know. Okay. She has questions. We have questions. We don't get answers though. It's an interesting premise though. I mean, not entirely original. Like I said, if you've seen Highlander, you kind of get the concept, except Highlander has that whole there can only be one kind of deal, and then they kill you, they chop your head off, and they take your powers or whatever. It's not that, but it's kind of in the same realm. So they put kind of a spin on the immortality in this movie. So apparently your immortality has an expiration date. Like one day, you can wake up and you're just not immortal anymore. It's like they just slapped on that collar from Deadpool. But it's invisible though. They slapped on an invisible Deadpool collar, and you can die now. Then there's this one scene that kind of took me out of the film for a minute. So 2 of the immortals get captured, and the thing that these immortals are feared the most is captivity. Earlier on in the movie, they go in about Charlize Theron and how it was her and another woman who were immortal together, and they had been together for a long, long time. They got captured, and captivity is the worst thing that can happen to you, and they illustrated it really well with this one scene, and it's like, whew, that's worse than death. So in a way, you don't really feel any danger or care for you care for them, but you don't feel like they're ever in any danger because they're immortal. They're immortal. They cannot die. So it's like, well, what's the suspense here? Like, what? I don't understand. But that actually is worse than death, and that's one thing that they made clear in this movie, and that's one thing that it raised the stakes for me. It raised the stakes, and that was a nice touch. So they captured 2 of the guys, and the 2 of the guys are an item. They're together. 2 of the immortals, they're together. And first of all, hats off to them, because apparently they've been together since the Crusades, and they fought on opposite sides, and I think they both killed each other, and they both woke up, and ever since then, I guess they had been together. I think that's how it went. Let me know if that's how it went. If not, if I'm wrong, comment below. So yeah, they've been together for hundreds and hundreds of years, which that's a feat. Okay, that's impressive. Okay, most people can't stay together for 1 year. These guys have been together for hundreds of years. Okay, since the Crusades. All right, if they can do it, you can do it. Okay, so they get captured, and one of the guards is holding them captive, and he says something like, "Oh, is that your little boyfriend?" And then the guy, one of the other immortal who's also in captivity, he kind of reminds me of Dan Bilzerian in a way, but that's neither here nor there. But he goes into this spiel about how this guy is just like, He's like the sun and the moon. You know how in Game of Thrones, how Daenerys and Khal Drogo had, they used to talk about each other in astronomy, basically. It was like that, but on another level. I mean, dude he loves this guy. Okay, that's his guy. He's pretty much the best thing that's ever happened to him. But that whole scene kind of felt out of place because they're in this truck, you know, and they're being held captive, and then they end up like kissing in the truck, like after he goes through that whole monologue about how this guy is just the love of his life. I mean, that's fine, I don't mind that, but it was just an interesting time to put that scene in the movie, given their situation. They're in a truck being held captive, and then he goes into this monologue, and then he like kisses the guy, you know, and I'm like, what? That doesn't make any sense. But if you think about it this way, so it made sense after you think about, well, just like 10 minutes ago, they said that captivity is like the worst thing that can ever happen to them. They never want to get caught. So he doesn't know if he'll ever get that chance again to, to embrace the guy or to be with him or to kiss him or anything. So that's his opportunity. I looked at it from that perspective, and it made sense if you think about it that way. It made the scene relevant and kind of touching. But like I said, the movie does do a good job of exploring, some of the challenges of being an immortal. Like there was this one scene where one of the immortals was explaining to the new girl that you're gonna outlive everyone. It's true. You're gonna outlive all your family, all your loved ones. It's tough. I mean, I can see how that can be tough. And then here comes the third act when things get a little out of control. Things get kind of wonky for me. The action was cool in this movie. It was in that John Wick style. I told you, if you're a fan of Devil May Cry, you may like this. I mean, they're shooting people, and they have these medieval weapons. She has an axe. Charlize Theron's character, she carries around this axe. She goes to work with the axe, okay? I mean, they're switching between swords, guns, and it's that really up close action that we've kind of grown accustomed to by watching movies like Extraction, which was on Netflix a few months ago. John Wick, of course. I think John Wick pretty much set that tone, or set the expectation, or set the bar. Like, John Wick set the bar high. So movies are trying to live up to that level of action, and they're just not quite there. The acting is alright in the movie. The acting is not bad. Some of it is not so good. The new girl who came along with the new immortal who came, she did okay, and she had a lot, to carry in the movie because the movie was essentially about her and Charlize. But some scenes lacked a little bit in the acting, but she did good enough, I'll say. Like I said, she's the exposition train. Like she's there to pull the story out of the immortals. She's there to get answers. We get our answers through her pretty much. And if you can't deliver that effectively, then your movie is going to lack, especially if you have a part as big as hers, if you have a role as big as hers, and you don't believe it, then, and I'm not saying I didn't believe it, every time, but there's a lot of times where I was like, could have delivered that a little bit better, but overall, she did okay. Charlize Theron did her thing. She's a phenomenal actress. She does great action. Another thing about it is the music. The soundtrack sometimes took me out of it, especially during the action scenes. Some of the music during the action scenes that they chose was not really, it didn't fit sometimes. It didn't always fit. It kind of took me out of it. And I can see where they were trying to go with the soundtrack and with the music. I can see what they were trying to do, but sometimes it didn't work for me. Because sometimes music can make or break a movie. It can make or break a film. If you have great music, then you can have an okay movie, but the music can elevate that. The music can elevate that movie, and it can be better than what it would be if the music wasn't as good. Does that make sense? Like sometimes the music just didn't fit the scene. Let me know if you guys felt the same kind of way at all, because for me personally, it was like, well, why are they playing this music? Why are they doing that? So back to the antagonist. So this guy, like I said, he's another evil tech genius trying to make the world a better place, but really all he cares about is his bottom line. He's one of those guys in a long line of evil tech young guys in movies nowadays. 'Cause I guess that's the typical antagonist, a tech billionaire who has a line on some new technology or something new that can help people, but he's just an evil guy who wants to experiment on these immortals, and he wants what they have basically, and he wants to make a lot of money. Whenever money is the main motivation, see, that's the thing about a good antagonist. They have to have a motivation other than something like money, because then you become this generic guy who, we've seen millions of times before. Like you're Dr. Evil, except you're not funny. You're just trash. One thing that was kind of funny though, he kind of reminded me of the witch from Snow White. If the witch from Snow White and the guy from Doctor Who had a baby, that's the guy. He looks just like them. At one point, he actually gets his hands on Charlize Theron's weapon. You know that axe I was telling you about, that axe that she's had forever? He gets his hand on it, and he's all like jizzing out over the axe, and it's like, dude, like, what are you playing a comp? Like, he's just like this tech dude. It's like, what are you gonna do with that? He doesn't do anything with it, okay? I mean, he doesn't do anything with it. I don't even know why he had the axe. I don't know why they decided to give him that axe. Just put the axe down. All in all, man, I enjoyed the movie. I mean, I don't have a lot of problems with it. The story is not the best story. It's a story that we've heard before, but it's also a story with some original aspects in it. The characters are written not that great. Charlize Theron's probably written the best, but of course she's the main attraction. The new immortal, her character she's the exposition train, and everyone else is kind of like, yeah, Ejiofor comes back in the end, and he has this whole thing that happens with him that's like, okay. It's also something that you can see coming. A lot of the scenes are predictable. That's one, if I had one word to describe the movie, it would be predictable. Let me know what word you would use to describe the movie down below in the comment. So is it the worst action movie? No. Is it the best? No. It's just fine. It's fine. It's a popcorn flick. You can sit down and watch, one day. We're all quarantined. You can watch, put on the Old Guard, enjoy the action. And another thing that I wanted to really touch base on real quick was they had like this, they're immortal, so they heal, right? So this one scene, one of the immortal guys takes like a grenade to the chest or something. He's just like sitting there. His guts are hanging out. Okay, he's sitting there. Charlize Theron is like, "Yo, would he come back?" And he's just sitting there, and his guts are hanging out. And then like his guts just slowly start to put themselves back together, and you're like, "Yo, are you what? You're okay?" Like he was okay. What happens if they get their head cut off? Didn't you get like a Highlander kind of effect, or can you just like kind of cut the head off and it's like you can't cut it all the way off, or do you cut it off and then the head is just rolling around and they're just out here just with no head but they're alive, and it's just a lot of what is, especially when it comes to immortality, you know what I mean? So that's one of those things in movies that explore immortality. It's like, well, what are the limits? Like if you put a grenade in this person's mouth and the grenade explodes, are they still alive out here with no head? And the head ain't gonna be just rolling around. The head is gonna be gone, okay? They're gonna be gone. It's gonna be gone. But yeah, those are just my thoughts. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought of this movie, man. Comment down below, like the video, subscribe. Let me know what you thought about it. I'm gone.